Hey, K. Chanel. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome to Beauty by Joyce, or welcome to Joyce Vlogs. I got something I want y'all to see real quick. And we're going to get started in just a second, but I got to share this, y'all. I got to share this. Hey, D. Ramsey. Hey, Black Nurse. Good evening. I got to show y'all some Morehouse. This is the stroller. Excuse the explicit language of the song, but we're showcasing. So they call this the Morehouse stroll. Let's see, can we get on in there? Uh-oh, here we go. Oh, wow. Now, they do have a band. I'm going to pull that up in a minute. I usually like to showcase the band. Uh-oh, here it comes. Breaking it down, y'all. Handshake. Uh-oh, they stumped in the yard, y'all. For some reason, I love to see stuff like this, y'all. And they do have a band. I'm going to showcase them, too. All right, and I got one more thing I want to cut to, y'all.
All right, now coming in first place.
All right, we got another one. One more, y'all.
Coming in first place, we got the brother Alpha.
Hey, this was 2019. This was this year. Uh-oh. Yeah.
Man, coach, tripping. I can't get with this no more. Play something else.
Oh wow. Oh shoot. All right. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Oh my goodness. Okay now. Let's get to it. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome, beauties and bows. I want to go in ahead and let y'all know who we have tonight. Tonight we have Morehouse College in the building. Can we give some hand claps in the chat, please, for Morehouse? We have distinguished gentlemen in here to let us know about Morehouse College, and I would just appreciate it. I'm sure they would appreciate it if y'all throw the hand claps up in here for them. So let me speak to everybody. Hey, Kay Chanel. Hello, Black Nurse. Hey, D. Ramsey. Hey, Patricia Ellington. Visha G. Hey, Tangela Freeman. Keisha Shishi. Blue Bottoms. Hey, Purified. Hey, Kimberly Black. All right, and y'all hit those hand claps in there for us. We have Dr. T.J. Snowden with us. We have Mr. Michael Gum with us. And we got my partner in crime for the HBCU Black Excellence in the building, TC HBCU Queen. Y'all, thanks for coming on and talking to us this evening. We got Morehouse, y'all. This is big.
Yes. Yes.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hi, good evening.
You ready for
Yes,
y'all?
good evening.
My son, his name is Jaden. I call him Two. I need y'all to help me bring Jaden from the other schools over to the HBCU. So I'm gonna give y'all a shot. Hey, let's get real. So let me go. I do want to let y'all see our people see. We're gonna screen share Morehouse College, the website. I just got some things to go over for y'all. I just want to give y'all a little history about Morehouse and how it got started. Give me just a second. And we're going to Morehouse Legacy. So Morehouse was founded in 1867 in the basement of Springfield Baptist Church in Augusta, Georgia, by Reverend William Jefferson White, with the encouragement of former slaves, the Reverend Richard C. Coulter, and the Reverend Edmund Turney of the National Theological Institute. Morehouse has had a 150-year legacy of producing educated men, Black men now, and global leaders. Now, it did go through a couple of changes, and they finally moved to the Atlanta area where they are now, and they were changed over to Morehouse. This is a very prestigious HBCU because it is one of a kind.
Yeah.
It's one of a kind because it's only for our Black men. I don't know if it's just for Black men anymore, but that's what it was founded on. So I'm proud to present them and let y'all talk and speak to Dr. T.J. Snowden and also Mr. Michael Gum.
So what we're gonna do now, Joyce, what I want to do, we can't do anything unless we acknowledge the ancestors. As long as we acknowledge those that come before us, we all stand on some pretty broad shoulders and some folks who sacrificed for us. So we would be remiss if we didn't mention some of the notable alum of our prestigious Morehouse in Morehouse College. And of course, the one, the only that everyone knows. And if you don't know, well, now you know. Okay, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, he graduated at 16. He graduated at 16? Is that correct, y'all?
Actually, he came into the college at 16.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was 16 because he and
Yeah.
I are so much alike. I love this just me. Yeah, we Capricorn. So, I have to look out for my Cappy. You see what I'm saying? Anyway, of course, another person that a lot of us know and have heard of, Mr. Spike Lee, a film director, producer,
Mm-hmm.
writer, actor. We know many of his movies, She's Gotta Have It, Jungle Fever, et cetera, so forth and so on. And many, many others, places that he's been, even in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Samuel L. Jackson. We know Samuel L. Jackson, a renowned, an awesome actor. Julian Bond. And Julian Bond, now Joyce, you know Julian Bond? Because he's from down in Nashville, Tennessee. He probably saw him at Krispy Kreme.
Oh, here we go with the Krispy Kreme. Okay, for the record, Krispy Kreme started in Tennessee. Okay, we're not gonna go
Okay.
through it. Tasha wants because Krispy Kreme
And when
headquarters is in North Carolina, but it started here. Okay.
Okay, so that's the reason why I said she probably saw Julian Bond at Krispy Kreme. Julian Bond is from Nashville, Tennessee. We all know him, NAACP leader, et cetera, activist, all that kind of good stuff. Major Owens. Major Owens was one of the congressmen that started. He was a congressman, became a congressman back in probably the 60s, and he's from New York, Brooklyn, New York. He was a congressman, and they called Congressman Owens, Charlie Rangel, Floyd Flake, and Adolphus Towns, because Ed Towns is an Aggie. They called them the Fantastic Four, and they were absolutely awesome congressmen. Another person, interestingly enough, John David Washington. John David Washington. Yeah, yeah, you know him. He was at Krispy Kreme too. So what happens is that he is Denzel Washington's son,
Oh,
and
okay.
he is we all know him as he's an actor as well, a former football running back for the St. Louis Rams, as we know, the former St. Louis Rams, because the Rams are going back home, if I'm not mistaken. And then, of course, we have this awesome, handsome gentleman that's in front of us. His name is Michael Gum, and he's also an alum. Right there, Michael. He's an
Yes.
alum of Morehouse. He's a Morehouse man as well. And I just have to say, Michael, my father is also an alum. He's an
Yes.
ancestor, so
Mm.
I always want to mention him, especially since his birthday was just this week. So,
Mm.
Michael, what is it? What do you all? What's your creed? What do you all say
Yeah.
about the Morehouse man? Is it you can tell them something, but you can't tell them something? What
Oh,
can you
we,
tell us?
yeah. See, we don't want to give all our secrets away, right? But what we try to say is that you could tell a Morehouse man, but you can't tell him much, right?
Okay.
And so that's the phrase. We have many others. Um, it's just this distinguished nature, what we try to coin as the Morehouse mystique, that sort of breathes, lives, is in existence for all the men that want to be a Morehouse, well, to be a man of Morehouse, that then has the hope to want to graduate, become a Morehouse man. So when you're in the gates, you're a man of Morehouse. When you graduate, you're a Morehouse man. So
All right.
that's the ideology behind it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
We also have a notable alum, Food Junkie. I don't know if he's here right now, but Food Junkie here on YouTube. He's in this sector.
Mhm.
He's a graduate from Morehouse as well. So I wish he would come through and say hi to us. Maybe he'll come through here. But yeah, Food
Hey,
Junkie is also a Morehouse man.
Mm.
How did Morehouse get its start? Like, it was founded. It was actually founded to be a school of ministry.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. So the idea behind the history of Morehouse is that it was educate. It was the sole purpose to educate preachers and teachers.
Mhm.
And so the idea was that, like as you mentioned through the history, Edmund Turney, ex-slave, actually got a chance because Morehouse actually was founded on Valentine's Day,
Oh,
1867.
okay.
And so it was 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, so slaves were so-called free. And the whole idea behind it was that there was going to be these gentlemen and women at the time who were
Mhm.
going to be educated to become sort of these ministers and teachers.
Okay.
Fast forward, if you move towards the inner city of Atlanta today, in 1889, we would find our founding located at where Friendship Baptist Church.
Mm-hmm.
And you might be a little bit familiar with Friendship Baptist Church because it was at Friendship Baptist Church where both Spelman and Morehouse was one together on the main campus, and then from there they would actually leave, and Morehouse would find its bearing on 830 Westview Drive and Spelman on Spelman Lane. So we would move to the inner city. If you're familiar with the Mercedes-Benz Stadium,
Mm-hmm.
the present location where the Mercedes-Benz Stadium is where this church actually was located, and it's moved on now. But the history is that we always remember where Morehouse and Spelman would get its start because that's where the new stadium where the Falcons play football.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hold on, Dr. Snowden. Did you want to say something, sir?
No, it's Mike said it best, and
Okay.
I defer to him because he's an alum and he's also a former student ambassador who we also employ in the Office of Admissions and Recruitment, where I'm the director, and they give wonderful tours. A lot of the historic information related to Morehouse is, excuse me, is housed there with our students, and Mike and Mike's twin brother were both ambassadors in their time on campus. And so having with Mike being an alum, it's great to have him around to talk about the historical piece where I myself am not a Morehouse man, but I'm definitely a man about Morehouse. And so, having Mike here to assist and definitely be a spearheading factor in our efforts here has been great.
So let me ask a question. So, Mr. Gum, you were saying that Morehouse basically was co-ed in the beginning?
That's correct.
Okay.
So when we were in Springfield Baptist Church in Augusta, Morehouse, by history, actually has two sister schools. And a lot of people don't know this. One of our schools is actually Bennett College, located in North Carolina. And the other school is Spelman College.
Right.
So during homecoming each year, both schools represent on the campus at Morehouse College. And so, we love our sisters at Bennett College. Thank God for the way that this country came together to support them in their endeavors, and to see where Spelman continues to thrive and be considered as the number one HBCU year after year after year. So, the one cool part about Morehouse is that, and I tell guys this, is that you forget that you go to an all-male school. And I think that's really critical because you're surrounded by leaders. You're surrounded by other institutions. So we're part of the Atlanta University Center, also known as the Atlanta University Consortium, which comprises of Morehouse College, Spelman College, Clark Atlanta University, Morris Brown College, the Morehouse School of Medicine, and then the Interdenominational Theological Center, also known as ITC. So all these schools being connected, together, these guys get a chance to cross-register and take classes at the nearby schools for free. So they don't have to worry about purchasing or actually enrolling in those other systems. So there's a lot of advantages with being in the AUC. One is one of the largest consortiums that exist.
So Michael, let me ask you a question. So that means if a particular course wasn't offered in the fall at Morehouse, if it's offered in the fall at Spelman or Clark Atlanta, I could, take it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly right. As well as, because you got to think, if we go back to the days as our alumnus Spike Lee, right? So when Spike Lee was an alum at Morehouse College, we didn't have like broadcasts and television and radio, but Clark Atlanta University did. So the students know, as much as we claim him as our alum, which he is, a lot of his classes were taken over at Clark Atlanta University. And so the students had this amazing opportunity. So Spelman College right now has an amazing education program. The guys at Morehouse actually go over, and because Morehouse doesn't offer education as a major, they have the ability to kill two birds with one stone. One, to go try to get the girls at Spelman, and at the same time try to go ahead and get that degree going with getting that bachelor's in education. So they'll graduate from Morehouse and yet have all the prerequisites that is necessary to get into education field.
All right.
Yeah.
So what are the most popular degrees at Morehouse?
Yeah. So this is a hard one. This is a hard one. And the reason why I say this is because Morehouse is a 4-year private liberal arts school. So we offer a little bit of everything from English to history to sociology to psychology, biology, chemistry,
Business.
film, business, yes, sir, cinema, television, emerging media studies, CTEMS program, a journalism program, an engineering program. So we offer all these facets, 7 divisions, approximately 28 majors, and these guys get a chance to.
Uh-oh.
And so with that, with these guys have that opportunity, they all actually also have the opportunity to take those classes. And so in terms of a major, I majored in philosophy, and I knew I could get into the education field, right? There's guys who get a chance to major in engineering. So in terms of the most popular, that's kind of hard. But I would say this: we have a lot of students who go into engineering, and the beauty of engineering is you do 3 years at Morehouse, and then you choose 2 years at an engineering school of your choice following that. So MIT, Dartmouth, the University of Michigan, Michigan State University is on the list. And of course, because of close proximity, Georgia Tech, right? So these guys will graduate with 2 degrees in 5 to 6 years. And that's the coolest aspect of the engineering field. In fact, one of our alumnus I definitely want to point out is C.D. Moody, who actually is responsible for doing the architecture for the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, for SunTrust Park, where the Atlanta Braves play baseball, just to name a few. And of course, a lot of other amazing buildings that are constructed on the Morehouse campus. But then I would have to move to one of our newest majors that was established in 2012, which is kind of getting some heat because of the film industry, is that CTEMS program. So cinema, television, emerging media studies. With this program, these guys really have an opportunity to really kind of showcase their film. Like, they get a chance to not only do film, but they also get a chance to learn the behind the scenes secrets of what does it take to be in that industry, right? And so this is an exciting time with the idea that Tyler Perry just built his amazing studio.
Yes,
it's an exciting time knowing that these guys are in the inner city of Atlanta. And as you know, most artists want to come to Atlanta.
Right.
And so it's really, really cool. Not only that, but these guys also, in terms of a major, have the opportunity of doing business, right? And so these would be like kind of the ones I want to highlight. With business, what's really cool about that is that these guys have an opportunity to sit down with Goldman Sachs, with Google, with Apple, to actually intern with them year by year, right? Not only that, but we're one of the only accredited schools to be accredited by one of the most international components of business that is now kind of on the threshold where these guys actually get a chance to actually study abroad too. And so it's really, really cool because they can go to Germany, they can go to France, they've been to London, and they get a chance to experience these things. And so, being the #1 producers of Black men into Harvard Business School is one of the most coolest things that I think Morehouse is actually able to claim. So, when you look at us, and no matter what your major is, Morehouse is a pipeline for some of the top feeder schools for graduate schools. So, we like to say, let's build them while they're here and then send them out to be these amazing, talented, bodacious men that were going to get it done, right? And so you could, again, you could find a Morehouse man anywhere in the world, right? And so these guys have plenty of opportunity to really set themselves apart.
I have a question for Mr. Michael, and then I wanna ask the same question to you, Doc, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Mr. Gum and Dr. Snowden.
But I think
I'd like to know what your background is in terms of where you're from, where you're from, and what helped you what encouraged you, who encouraged you, to go to college. And then to further go into higher education.
So I think we lost Mike for a second, so I'll start.
Yeah.
Both of my parents went to college. I'm originally from Louisiana, so they went to Louisiana Tech. And actually, that's where they met. And so my mom has been an educator for more than 30 years. And so college was a no-brainer. It was always one of those things that, that she stressed a lot as a student. And so when I graduated from Wasman High School in Monroe, Louisiana, as the class valedictorian in 2000, my first thing was to get on the first train smoking out to Georgia. I liked what Atlanta had to offer. And so, that was a really big selling point. It was still in the South. So there wasn't much of a culture shock. And my father lived here. And so we would visit him during the summers. And so it just seemed like a natural fit. I went to the University of Georgia, graduated with a bachelor's in education in 2004, and most recently with a doctorate in higher education, specifically student affairs leadership in 2019, hence the doctor. And so with higher education, I kind of fell into it. It was never on my radar to kind of go into. I was a sports communications major. So the idea was to be a broadcaster or a sports agent. And I just didn't do any internships. And so I was being the average student and just kind of, taking things lightly. And so having worked in retail management for a number of years, which is where I got my start. I switched over into higher ed in 2007 as a financial aid counselor at the University of Georgia. And so travel kind of led me all over the state, and then moving to DC, where my most recent job prior to getting the director position here at Morehouse was the director of financial aid for the Institute of World Politics in DC, which is a small graduate school that focuses on national security and international affairs. It's all in the enrollment management space. So when you think about enrollment management, that's admissions, financial aid, registrar, the like. And so having worked in that arena almost 13 years now, and also doing some volunteer recruitment with my alma mater, formerly as the president of the Black Alumni Leadership Council for the University of Georgia, it just kind of seemed to be a great fit. How I got to Morehouse, when I was finishing my doctorate, part of the program required us to have an internship. And so my idea, and having been in higher ed this long now, is to become a college president. And so Dr. Thomas, who is now the president of Morehouse College, the 12th president, he was the only president to answer my email when I asked him for an internship. And so I spent a year last year basically being, the Reggie Love to his Obama. I mean, I, did some of everything. I was able to kind of shadow him for, 2 or 3 days a week, and sometimes a little more, just depending upon the needs of the office. And so when this position came open, finishing my internship, graduating, and this position came open, he was just like, hey, I know you want to be a college president. What better way to start than getting on the floor of admissions, because enrollment is going to be one of those arenas where it's going to be really critical for not only for HBCUs, but for schools in general with dwindling enrollment. And so I've been on the job a little more than 90 days now, officially, as a paid employee at Morehouse College. And so it's been great. I can't complain. And having guys like Michael and other members of the team in the Office of Admissions and Recruitment has been a blessing.
Let me ask you another question, because you mentioned that you are also a part of a three-letter organization. And what is that, and how did that impact in your journey?
So I've been a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated for 17 and a half years. My anniversary will be 18 in April. I know, right? It's hard to believe. I pledged as a sophomore, 18-year-old sophomore, some years ago. And so I had some mentors in high school, coaches, teachers, and some friends at the local college who were members. And so it was just kind of one of those things that was, again, a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. And so when I got to the University of Georgia, it was no brainer for me to seek that out. And luckily they had a very vibrant chapter on the campus. And so, the rest is history. And they've been very supportive in terms of the things that I wanted to do professionally. Aside from the brotherhood piece, it also gives you the opportunity to network with brothers, from different chapters, from all walks of life, who are also in different career paths. And so, having the opportunity to talk with a number of members who are in the higher education space, they kind of keep you in the know and kind of keep you uplifted, I guess. We have a number of members who are, college presidents, specifically HBCUs. You think about Dr. Dewan Warmack, who is now over at Claflin University in South Carolina, previously at Harris-Stowe State University in St. Louis. But then you also have Dr. Michael Sorrell, who's over at Paul Quinn College. And so those are, two of a number of brothers who are college presidents who are really making waves in this in this higher education space, and our desire to be part of the next wave.
So, are you an only son?
No, I'm actually the oldest of four. I have a younger brother, two younger brothers, and a younger sister.
And did your parents set the tone for all of you to go to college?
Yeah, we're three of us are graduates. My sister now is in her second year of college at the Savannah College of Art and Design. Her desire is to be a fellow.
That's dad. Oh
yes,
my God.
Dad, yes. And she's been there 2 years now. And then my younger brothers are graduates of Kennesaw State University here in the Metro Atlanta area.
Okay. The reason I know about SCAD is because I was stationed at Hunter Army Airfield.
Okay.
And I actually thought about going to that school because I was really into art, makeup, fashion, and stuff like that when I was actually thinking about going to college.
Sure.
SCAD is very expensive.
Yes. College in general is expensive though, these days, with just rising costs of not only, tuition and fees, but it's an arms race almost with higher ed. You got to build the pretty buildings, to make it look great next to the other schools. And so thinking about that and thinking about now that there will soon be a smaller number of students who will be in the college going culture, you have to find a ways to make sure that these schools remain open and remain relevant, or we'll eventually be, assimilated into, another school or, phase out completely.
So with my son being 14, at 14, had you set your mind on a HBCU, or was it that deep around 14? What were you thinking about as far as education?
Well, I was definitely thinking about college. I had the opportunity to take a number of high school courses in it was junior high, but people call it middle school in some parts. And so I was able to skip the 9th grade. And so I graduated high school in 3 years, and it was always something that I was thinking about. And so back then they had the big books that you would just kind of turn and look at the pages, and I hope I'm not dating myself, but and I had college counselors or high school counselors who were very instrumental about promoting HBCUs. I had aunts who went to Grambling. I had other friends who were and some of the ones that were around. You had Grambling, you had Southern. And those were kind of like the big two, specifically in Northeast Louisiana. And then other people went to Jackson State because it was 22 hours away from, Monroe, Louisiana, which is where I'm from. And so, there were a number of schools. I got into all of those. I got into Dillard and a few other institutions. And so HBCUs were definitely an option. In full transparency, I wanted to go to the University of Georgia because I went to an all-Black high school. And so I wanted to kind of look at some different things. But having come back and had this experience at Morehouse College over the last year, and just knowing, family members and friends and, who went to HBCUs and how they, speak so proudly of it, it was something that kind of resonated with me. And being there for that year, working as an assistant to the president, it kind of tugs at your heartstrings. And so, you kind of, you get it. And I was one of those kids, think about Morehouse, all male school. I didn't want to do it. I had no idea that they cross-registered. I didn't even realize that Spelman was just that close. So when I did get to work here and just kind of, find out, you drink the Kool-Aid, like it's a real thing. And so, I think what they're doing in Morehouse, what we're doing in Morehouse, is great, and it's still valuable to young men everywhere.
Mr. Michael, you're back with us, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, we can't hear you.
No. I'm sure he'll have a lot to say once he can get his situation taken care of.
Keep on working on it. We'll wait on you. So, when you do you have any children? I'm trying to see if you have a son.
No, I don't have any children, man.
Well, let me ask you this question like this then. If you had a son, what would be your way? Say your son was 14. Mm-hmm. What would be your talking points as far as going to college and going to HBCU?
Well, college is what I like to tell students, and what I would tell son if I had at this age. College is one of those things that you have to invest in, and so we tell students now that you have to start thinking about college in middle school. 7th and 8th grades is never too early to start thinking about college.
Wait a minute, Dr. Snowden. Hold on. Say that again. What grade are you projecting that we need to be having this conversation about college?
Middle school. But sixth grade is never really even too early. Right. So it's just important because one, the cost of college again is rising, and so preparing students now for 6 years down the road, we're talking about things as far as scholarships and financial aid and kind of understanding what a college going culture is like. And so anytime that you can get students to the campus to take a campus tour, one of the things that's really beneficial for students who come and take our campus tour is that we probably get the most of our students to commit to Morehouse because they come and do a tour. And so the things that we were talking about with the history or the legacy of Morehouse College, that stuff you can see in living color on the campus. And so young men who we have who are student ambassadors who are in charge of doing our tours, they give you the whole historical, piece from top to bottom. And then, excuse me. And then, with Michael also having being an alum and also being a former student ambassador, Mike gives some tours as well too. And so when I don't have some students available, I can always go to Mike and say, "Hey, Mike, can you give this family, can you give this group a tour?" And Mike gives it just as good as if he was a current student now.
Dr. Snowden, one of the things, and I want to get back to, and I'm really, really concerned about the conversation that we need to have with our young people, and especially just as adults or parents needing to have a conversation anyway about education. And we call it the school to prison pipeline.
Sure.
And if we're not planning, if we fail to plan, we plan to fail.
Right. Yeah. We have people who are currently planning for us when you talk about the prison pipeline.
Exactly.
Morehouse is one of those places where at 12 o'clock you can find at least 2,000 young men moving freely about with a purpose. There are only two other places where you can probably find 2,000 men moving about like that. That's either military or prison. And so preparing our young men or just students in general early enough in that process to think about, going to college or at least having a plan to be a productive member of society. I think, it's never too early to start that.
That's right. Doctor, hold on 1 second. Everybody's frozen. It just seems like.
Does it? Okay.
It's frozen.
Hold on for a second.
Okay. So you all have how many young people applications do you take each year?
Well, it varies, and so we have about 30. We had about 3,800 applications last year. The president is interested in increasing that by 20%, so a little more than 4,500 applications is what we're shooting for. We're currently now in the middle of what we call read season, which is where our early decision students, particularly those students who have, considerably high test scores as well as GPA, very polished on paper at least, are submitting their applications now so they can kind of cement their decisions for college. And then, so our deadline, our early action deadline, early decision deadline, was November 1st. And so those students will start getting information about college acceptances probably right before Christmas. And then we have, what we do find though is that we get a large amount of our students to submit during the regular decision deadline, which is February 1st. And that could be a number of reasons. That could be, just uncertainty. That could be, preparation or lack thereof. But it also could be that students take standardized tests late. And so
yes, they do.
That's a real thing, And so, with Morehouse, we definitely do a holistic process with reading our applications. And so we don't just look at, the GPA and the test scores, because that doesn't really get to the soul of who the young man is. And so we give them the opportunity to do essays, and they can do a video interview through the application. But then I've also had some young men come in the office and do interviews with me personally. And so what I like to do when we do that is I like to take off the admissions hat and just talk to the young man as a person, black man to black man, or man of color to man of color. We want to make sure that we are inclusive of all young men who identify that way. And we, just have a conversation. What do they want to get out of that? What do they, and it's not about me, selling Morehouse, because they're already sold. They're on campus. They want to do an interview. Right. It's about, understanding what it is that the young man aspires to, and then how Morehouse can be best be employed to kind of serve the young man in his future endeavors. And like Michael said, Morehouse, it's one of those experiences that you only get once. We are an undergraduate institution, so there's no graduate school for students who come to Morehouse. So, we give them, the base level direction. We give them the fundamentals to go out and to exceed expectations anywhere. Some of the things I tell them is that, Morehouse is one of those places where you have companies that come and pluck young men away for jobs, simply because it could be one of two reasons. It could be because they're trying to fill a diversity quota, or they've had experience with a young man with an alum who has been so great and has impressed them that they want to come back and drink from the well. And so why not come back to Morehouse College and get somebody to kind of help you still have that same outcome.
Now, let me ask you, Dr. Snowden, the Black College Common application, do you all accept the Black College Common or no?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. And because the thing is that the early action has already, the first early decision is November 1st. That's already passed.
Yes, ma'am.
So would you all be considered also rolling admissions as well?
Yes, and so we would consider that. And again, we realize that a number of our students take tests late, or they maybe late submitting applications. And so, we do those types of things as far as rolling admissions on a case-by-case basis. We also ask that parents and or students, make sure that they sign up for, our mailing list, but also be in contact with us because you just never know the situation. We want to make sure that Morehouse is an opportunity for all young men who want to be a part of this great legacy that has lasted 150 plus years, and we're trying to make sure that it lasts 150 more.
There you go.
Mr. Gum, can we hear you? Not yet.
Can't see him. Can we see him?
I can see him. Y'all can't?
I can see him just fine.
Oh, there you are. Good, Joyce. You were frozen.
Okay, it might be doing that from time to time. I can see him, I just can't hear him.
Oh, okay. All
right. So you all, as far as y'all have a band, you all do play football, but it's Division II, right?
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, so for kids that have not grown up with parents that are educated, what usually gets them into your school? What usually gets them thinking about Morehouse?
Well, regardless of the parents' level of education, Morehouse has a brand that has lasted for over a century and a half, actually. And so, you're pretty much guaranteed that that person is probably come into contact with with someone from Morehouse, or at least know somebody from Morehouse. And so, even when we talk about the legacy, you have Martin Luther King, and if you have nothing else, I mean that says enough for a person about the legacy of Morehouse and kind of what it has provided. And so you can kind of run the list, and I like to make sure that even though we have such a long list of alums who have been recognized over the decades, that we do have some more current alum as well who are right in your backyard more than likely. And so we definitely want to make sure that we highlight them as well. And they may not just be individuals who won a Nobel Peace Prize. They could be teachers and preachers like we had been founded, as well as counselors in the school. I do think that students who have parents who may not have, increased their education past high school or any other level, that their young people come in contact with counselors who are college educated and they're really going to be the catalyst when it comes to helping students with their college or their future plans, just because they know that that's someone that they can trust and that's someone that they can definitely help. What we do find is that next to parents, the college counselor is probably going to be one of the most influential people in their lives when it comes to making post high school decisions.
Okay. So you all don't really do recruitment for your school.
No. We do recruitment. I'm the director of recruitment and admissions, and so we go out to schools both locally as well as across the country. We have a very large and active alumni association who also assists us with volunteer recruiting efforts. And so it definitely varies depending upon the time of year. Right now, even though we are reading applications, we are still traveling and recruiting students everywhere. So the show doesn't stop until later in the year. Trust me. And so we do some things like the college fairs, but I also like for members of the team to go into some of these high schools as well and do personal face-to-face visits that don't require us to be in like a speed dating type of space, like a college fair. I think because we have a niche population, that it is important for us to, have some of those man-to-man conversations with young men who'd be interested in Morehouse and talk to them about it. With a college fair, there's only so much that you can get.
Right.
You go around, you pick up the paper, and then you see if they got some nice stuff on the table, and you kind of go about your way. And so whoever has the shiny objects, that kind of catches everybody's eye, including a number of the counselors, which can be pretty funny. But going in and really having like a homeboy talk almost with our young man and just say, hey, you know what, we get it. We all come from different walks of life, but here's an opportunity for us to sit down and really have that conversation about, what the next steps are and kind of how you want to move forward with achieving your goals professionally.
So, Dr. Snowden, can I just ask Joyce, in reference to the ACT and the SAT, you accept both, correct, for the standardized test, or has that been annihilated from?
No, we still accept both of those. Part of that process is it allows us to, our faculty to kind of assess where students are in terms of their levels of understanding of, reading, writing, arithmetic. You've heard the saying. And so it allows us to figure out how we can best service them because, like myself, I was a horrible test taker. And so I didn't get over a 20 on my ACT until after my first year of college. And so it was just one of those things. But I knew.
So let me ask you a question in reference to the ACT and the SAT in your professional judgment. How are you feeling, or how do you feel? What is the conversation like around the SAT and the ACT? Is in terms of the taking of the test for children of color?
I really believe that there is a level of bias there, but I I actually prefer to do away with it. Honestly, I don't think it really gives you the full scope of who the
Okay.
student is. A number of those words that are on standardized tests, we may or may not even use them ever in our lifetime, and so it's good to know. But I don't think that will actually make or break a student when it comes to them being successful in college, because part of the process and when you get out of college is not what you know, but also who you know.
Who
And
you
so
know?
with Morehouse having that large network of individuals who are alum, there's a Morehouse man everywhere, like Mr. Gump said a little earlier, and so we have it's one of those bonds that are so strong, and that you can go and find a Morehouse man in any field, and as long as you're good on the paper with Morehouse and you're an alum, they're going to look out for you. It's that type of brotherhood that has drawn me to really doing the work here and making sure that the young people that come in, as students, are able to have access to that same level of networking as well as education.
So, doctors, let me just ask this, Joyce, three things. One, in reference to the cafeteria, I just want to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate your cafeteria?
So I've eaten in the cafeteria on a few occasions, and so I mean 6, I guess. They got the basic stuff. I mean, you got your stations where there's healthier food, and you still got your pizzas and hamburgers, and there's a stir fry station and a few other things that they try to employ as well, which is actually
basic. Okay.
Michael turned me on to the stir fry station, and so
Okay. Do you have vegan?
They do have those options as well. Yes.
Okay. Good. The infirmary. Let me just say, just two more, and the infirmary. Is there a place, and is there a place on the campus? Something happens. If someone has asthma, if they need to do is there a place where a young person can go?
Yes, ma'am. We do have a health center on campus, and that's not only for physical health, but also mental health as well. So we do have counselors there to assist our students, wherever they may need that level of service.
Okay. Veterans Affairs. Are you all? Is there a department? Is there a person that is designated towards, the recruitment of the veterans and those who still have, resources and funding through their veterans, through their veteran affairs?
So we do have what's called a school certifying official it's our registrar, and I speak from personal experience because I was a school certifying official previously, and so I worked in a veteran affairs department helping students in 2 jobs actually with that process. And so we do have it. We are definitely making strides to be a more veteran friendly campus, but our population of veteran students is not that large, but we do try to make sure that those students who are veterans know what it is to get into Morehouse, how their benefits and their opportunities that they have can play out. And we do have a very large, not a large, but a robust ROTC program as well. And so we kind of get them on both ends.
Okay, and the learning disabilities, and I want to say learning differences. That's what we call it here in Philadelphia. They're not learning disabilities; they're learning differences.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what are the support systems, and what are the support systems like there that are going to help usher our young people who have a variety of learning differences, through the to finish Morehouse and then to enter into the career that is most apropos for them, and for not failing.
So in the health services or health center, we do have a number of services available for those students who may have differences. And but I not being a healthcare professional, I'd rather divert those questions toward the health center so they can kind of give you more indirect or more direct information about that. But again, Morehouse is a is a familiar atmosphere. And so, unlike going into a larger, school where you may have 300 or 400 students in a class, Morehouse is one of those places where the professor could serve as your babysitter. I mean, you probably have seen the viral thing where the professor was holding the baby while the student was in class, and but we have a number of professors
Oh, okay.
who take a liking or latching on to students who, even when they do have challenges in their lives and they exhibit the will to want to succeed, we have individuals who go above and beyond the classroom time and a paycheck to be advocates for students there on the campus.
Okay.
You there,
Thank you.
Mr. Gum?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Oh my God. Finally. Okay, it's good hearing y'all. I was listening in, definitely.
Okay.
But yeah,
I got
TJ,
one
right.
question.
Okay.
Joyce, let him go through who he is. We don't know. He could be an imposter. This guy right here could be an imposter. We don't know him.
God.
Introduce yourself, brother.
Yes. Here we go. Okay, so my name is Michael Gum. I have the privilege and pleasure to serve in the admissions office for Morehouse College. Title Assistant Director of Admissions and College Recruitment for the Office of Admissions. I work closely with Dr. TJ Snowden, our Director of Admissions, to ensure that alumni are getting the materials that they need, that correspondence for them is happening, because that's his own job, I promise. I have that. I also, whenever I need to be called on for a tour, I got your back. And that's something that we count on. Because to be honest, the more people that come to our campus to receive a tour, our numbers show that those are the people that actually come to Morehouse.
That's right.
When they touch the campus, they know. I'm telling you, there's a spirit on that campus. The love atmosphere.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. TJ knows too, our director. He knows I love to give quotes, so I'm gonna keep this one short. The tragedy lies not in reaching your goal. The tragedy lies in having no goals to reach for. Not failure, but low aim is sin. And so those are the words of Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays, who was our sixth president of the college, who served for 27 years. And so we teach these guys that your work will speak for yourself, right? And that as long as you are persevering, as long as you're moving forward, as long as you're setting goals, you can really have a whole array of different opportunities that lie before you. And so each man of Morehouse and Morehouse man goes in with that idea that they never graduate from learning. And so there's always this tendency to want to do more, to want to do better. And so I live by that quote. So that's a little bit about me. Yeah.
Where are you from? Where's he from? Where are you from? I want to,
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm from the South Side, Chicago. 87 South Phillips. My grandma's still over in that area. I got family in Madison, Illinois. I got family uncles that still live in the south parts of Chicago too. So I'm a product of Chicago by way of moving to Atlanta though at the age of 13. And my natural roots are Chicago, but I would say that I represent the A pretty well in this home too. So ATL all day.
So does your twin go there too?
Yeah, so my twin brother, he graduated Morehouse with me in 2010, and he now is a college professor at the University of at Wilberforce University.
Oh,
as
yes.
well as and he's an elementary school teacher by day for Louis Troy Elementary School.
Oh,
so imagine what there. Yeah, so
Black excellence.
And we're just blessed. We're just really blessed. Morehouse really puts it in you from day one about the molding and the legacy and so forth. So I have an older brother too, who's the class of 04 from Morehouse. He graduated from Morehouse, then went to Princeton Seminary, graduated from Princeton Theological Seminary, and now he got his doctorate from Emory University. So now he's a college professor for Florida State University. Shout out to Jamil Drake. And so just the willingness, the efforts, the focus that Morehouse has to want to mold you as soon as you get there, the faculty, the staff. It's just when you get there, there's this high expectation, bigger than just I'm going to be somebody. It's now, how are you going to be somebody? How are you setting goals? Do you know who you are, right? And so when you get to the campus, you're defining yourself every minute, every hour. You're looking in the mirror, you're asking the question, what can I do better? What can I do more? Because you realize you're in a privileged space.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you graduate, you come in with the notion that I'm not done. So
Okay.
There you go.
you're
There you
constantly
go.
giving back. You're constantly in those elementary and middle schools and high schools. Our alumnus are high mighty guys. One would argue, lawyers, doctors. At least they think they are. They're doing their thing, but yet countlessly they find themselves wanting to go back into the high schools, and they take it serious. They take it very serious, and so you know. The love that we have for our college, the love that we have for one another, it's a true brotherhood. It's a true brotherhood.
So we asked Dr. Snowden this question: how, with my son being 14, what was your family background? How did you get, you and your twin or your other sibling? How did y'all get introduced to going to college? How did how did you make your decision? Did your parents push you? How did
Yeah,
you get here?
yeah. How did I get to Morehouse? So really, it was my older brother, and I call him my older brother. He's really my cousin,
Mm-hmm.
but I call him my older brother because of the relationship that I've had with him since we were younger. And he basically, when we moved to Atlanta, we were only 13 years old. We had some tragedy strike where we lost our mother to cancer.
Okay.
And so when we moved to Atlanta, it was, a whole new area, vegetation, beautiful scenery, great weather. And I knew, I said, I want to go to a school. I want to go to college. I want to do that whole nine. I was a pretty decent student. And my twin brother and I was the same. And so Morehouse kind of just was this idea at first. And when he went to Morehouse and he brought us to the campus, I told Dr. Snowden he dropped us off on what we thought was Morehouse was actually Spelman to sell us on coming to Morehouse.
That's a good selling point.
Yeah, he dropped us off in the lunchroom at 12 o'clock. Yeah, and so of course, I'm sitting around. We were making jokes with him before, talking about how Morehouse is all male school, who want to go to all male school, and all this. And he dropped us off at Spelman, and sure enough, I think I was sold that day. Yeah, I didn't have to learn anything else. And so, just to see how he had that camaraderie with his brothers and guys that just dressed different, they just looked different, they just
so they carry themselves different than what maybe you were used to seeing.
Absolutely. And it's weird because, it's one thing to say, okay, are you dressing up for a specific, interview? It's another thing to see guys that just dress up to go to class, right? So that's kind of
That's right.
the feel, is that, it's popular to wear Bostonian shoes and to have Kohans on and to have three-piece suits. It's popular at Morehouse. And I think the vibe comes with the idea that you never know who you might meet, right? You never know what opportunities lies. And then you're a leader every day. Every day you might be called on, I remember in the past I did a tour for Mayor Shirley Franklin, and I was in
From Philly. Yeah. From Philly, that's my girl. Yes.
Yeah. I did her tour of Morehouse, and I'll never forget. It's for us, you always are prepared, right? You're always prepared, so you never find yourself slacking. But that day, I wasn't dressed properly, and so I told myself I would never again find myself in a situation where I'm not, where I'm not on point, where I don't feel comfortable. And so, I asked some guys, why do y'all dress up? And the real cool factor is that, they don't know where their next opportunity is going to lie. They want to stay focused in the classroom. Our guys, they're doing it. They're doing it every day. And don't get me wrong, they dress down, they go to parties. There's a humongous social life on campus. It takes you have to see it for yourself, because I don't want to give everything away, but it's a beautiful atmosphere. It's one that is moving. I mean, how do you have 6 burial sites on your campus, right? And at the same time be able to still have the sort of nuance of having a Chick-fil-A on your campus, right? Like literally on your campus. And so, those kind of cool aspects of Morehouse is what sets it apart.
I was told that since my son does live in Marietta, to take him actually to Morehouse or some other colleges down there. But they said specifically Morehouse for there's some type of men outreach or there's something that you all do for young black boys as far as mentorships and stuff like that.
Oh man, we have a lot. So you might be referring to Get on the Bus, which is a group of guys at Morehouse who are current students who travel to different cities, inner cities typically, where there's not a lot of black male presence, where there's not a lot of leadership, and guys are not the young men at those schools to right. They're not exposed to sort of black
I'm looking for a pen so I can write this down. You said it's called Get on the Bus.
It's called Get on the Bus. It's called Get
I'm
on the Bus.
the bus is gonna come to y'all. I'm gonna pull up on y'all.
Look, you pull up on us. I promise you. Ask TJ. You just got to meet one or two of our ambassadors, and you're gonna be going crazy because the leadership of the campus. Yeah.
Trust me, they've seen me here on YouTube. I pulls up on colleges and talk to people because I have one son. One.
Come on.
And my girls are already in adulthood. He's 14. And I'm just trying to get him. He, like I said, he wants to go to college. I just want him to get excited about HBCU. But I also want him to see alpha males out here. Men that are doing something other than playing football or being a rapper.
Right.
I want to expose him to that. So Get on the bus. We're gonna call it pull up.
Let's go. Listen.
You know what? As a matter of fact, let me say this. This is to see this journey between a mother and her son. First and foremost, if anybody who's out there who has any I guess you could say any hater, any question about a mother who really wants to see her children do well, shame on them. I think that whenever parents are in this mode, that it is up to all of the extended family, ones of us, to make sure that we share and give as many of the resources that are out there because they are. And like you said, Michael, Dr. Snowden, listen, the brothers, the Morehouse men in Philly are thick and thick, okay? And they are very, very visible, very, very verbal, and very active. And they do understand the necessity of higher education, or at least something definitely after high school. So I really applaud Joyce, and this is the reason why I really appreciated her telling me that her son came to her with the conversation. Mm-hmm. I was totally impressed. And anyone who knows me here in Philly knows as soon as you mention college, that's my only conversation I'm going to have with you. That's all I want to talk about. And then it goes to from college to what HBCU. I work in an office where I'm supposed to help everybody with everything, and especially colleges here in Philly. And I tell them, if you're not talking about an HBCU first, I'm not talking to you. Okay, so I really appreciate Joyce because I think she's just come up with an organization that mothers for their sons should call Pull Up. I think, wow. No, serious. I'm saying that to say because this is the journey that we've had, Dr. Snowden. I've talked to you about it. And Michael, I know that you can, you being Mr. Chi-Town and everything, going down to the ATL, you can truly appreciate a mother who wants to see only the best for her son. Mm-hmm. And we have we have family members. Oh, he's not gonna do anything. Oh, they're not gonna. No, that's not true. Once they hit Morehouse, A&T, once they hit Hampton, Howard, any of these HBCUs, it is a total it's a spirit that hits our children. They can connect and they can relate. And I just want to say, Michael, my mother and father my mother was a Bennett Bell, and my father went to Morehouse. So she met, and that's why I knew about the Bennett Bells, because I didn't dig it. You see what I'm saying? And talking about meeting, you know, your family for the rest of your life. You know, this is unprecedented. It is nowhere. As a matter of fact, friends of mine who have attended all these other schools, you will never hit. They won't pull up on their homecoming. They won't pull up on any of the college, the college football games. They're not going to pull up on the campus like we do. They're not going to do that.
No.
But this is what we're all about at our HBCUs. And like I said, Joyce, I appreciate you, and I'm grateful for the fact that you have a young man who had the audacity, the gall to say Ohio State, and now this is where we are. This is why we're having this, Dr. Snowden, Michael. This is the reason he was the one that gave birth to this.
Mm-hmm. He was.
See? And so we have to listen to our young people. We have to listen to them, because my mother always said, when they start asking the question, it's time. Mm-hmm. And it's time. And like I said, I'm here, I'm auntie, but he's got to talk to people from the HBCU first, period. That's it. You know, but we're not going to let any of the haters get in the way. You understand what I'm saying? Right. He's destined for greatness, because look at you, Michael, look at Dr. Snowden, and look at, like I said, all and his lineage that he holds with his mother and his father, and all of these people, these notable alum. We stand on broad shoulders.
That's right.
And anybody who's not, listen, I had the audacity to see Harriet like 4 times. And I feel like this. Anybody who's ready to get on board this HBCU train or this higher education, or at least to become a productive citizen, generational wealth building for our children, get on board. If you're not, I'll see you later, alligator. And that's real.
Okay? And I'm going to formally change my channel name to Pull Up.
No, don't say that. No, you and Jaden are gonna have your own channel with that one. That's gonna be you and him. Y'all gonna, and it's gonna be you and your son pulling up at these at any of the colleges, because that would be great.
Two, you see what mommy just birthed for you, boy? We see?
There it is.
When we're around people who have these kinds of this is why we have to have these kind of conversations, and Joyce was willing to have it. We're willing to have these conversations. Like I said, it is what it is. Anybody who's not down with it, see you. And we have Black men in our families and around our places that are doing the daggone thing. And I want to applaud you, gentlemen, for being here with us on a Sunday. You could be anywhere. I know you have a lot of things that you're doing, and we've had a contingency of wonderful colleges and universities that come out and talk to us. That's because we have a love for it. It's in your heart. And you can tell us in your heart, or else you wouldn't be here. Yes. So thank you again.
Thank y'all so much. I'm telling you, I'm going to be calling y'all, talking about, okay, I'm down, because I hit Atlanta in an hour and a half.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, I was going to say.
Tell her to bring you some Krispy Kreme donuts while she's at it.
Oh, Lord, whatever.
Well, we got
from Chattanooga. My son lives in Marietta, and I will come and bring him down there. Soon.
Yeah.
And I'll be at the campus talking about, where's Michael and Dr. Snowden? What are these men at? When you see is because you'll see this Black woman and you'll see a little boy that looks just like me.
Okay.
We're connecting, y'all. We're connecting. I shall see you all on Thursday at the Malcolm Bernard, right?
Is that this Thursday?
Philadelphia, Wednesday. I'm sorry, Wednesday.
We probably will have some alumni there on the ground.
Okay.
I'm sure, but I'm sure we'll have somebody in that space.
Okay, I'm gonna be taking pictures and I'll send them back to you, because I'm gonna be shooting live and in living color at the HBCU College Fair because we have all of our awesome colleges and universities that are there, and Morehouse, Spelman, all these y'all show out, like it's amazing, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a lot of fun. You'll probably see us, okay?
There's
Awesome. Do you know Anthony Miller in
Yes.
Philly? Okay.
Yes.
So Anthony Miller, class of 2010 from Morehouse. So he came out the same year I came out. Amazing organization. I think it's called the Giant Steps or Giant Leaps, or he has
Giant Leaps.
Giant Leaps. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Anthony Miller was also. I saw him before he became, Anthony Miller from Philadelphia Morehouse, right? When he was on campus, he was the oldest Moss contestant. So he did a lot of the grooming that happened for him in terms of how he developed is because of what Morehouse was able to do. And he credits Morehouse big time to just his skill sets and what he's been able to do. Amazing preacher, amazing teacher,
Yes.
theologian in and of himself. But to have his own organization where he's helping young men, and young women, that's sort of the temperament that Morehouse creates. And so I just had to shout out him because he's Philadelphia, one of my Morehouse brothers, class of 10, and one of the alums that just did a event for us recently when called upon. And again, this shows sort of the examples that TJ is really directing about getting our alumni involved and making sure that, that they're plugged in, right? Their time, their talent, and their 10th, right?
Get them involved. They're ridiculous. They're the bully in this group of people. Let me tell you, Spelman, Howard, Clark Atlanta. We have various alumni groups, and we meet at least once every 3 months, depending on which one it is, and the scholarships that come from it. So they are engaged. Continue to engage them. And also in the political realm, we want to continue to engage our politicians as well. And one last question I really have for you guys: what do you see, or how do you see the Trump administration in reference to our enrollment at HBCUs?
It's a great question.
So I think that it has definitely given us opportunities to increase our enrollment among students of color. Just kind of seeing where the administration has in some ways failed folks who look like us to and have allowed us to be in spaces where we may or may not feel safe about how our government is able to take care of us or be advocates for us. And so coming to a space like an HBCU, particularly Morehouse and any HBCU actually, we tell students this is the space where you can actually just be a Black person and focus on something and focus on doing other things. And so you don't have to focus on why your hair is kinky or why your skin is so dark,
right?
These other things. You can literally focus on just being a student and being the best student that you can possibly be. And so, it inside our gates and gates across the country, that's a safe space for our students. You'll have enough time to go out and do these great things and be continue to be ridiculed or criticized about your ability to do it because you are a person of color. But at Morehouse on 830 Westview, that you have a space where you can come and just be, and there you build the chops that you need to go out and continue to be that best person when you do have, people hurling stones at you and in some cases bullets.
I appreciate you saying that you've seen that there has been an increase. Michael, would you say the same thing? An increase?
Absolutely. And across the board, as TJ's mentioned.
Yes.
The reason to add to what TJ's saying and the volume of that stems also from the concept that, we see a tyrant in an office that's really kind of doing his own thing, right? If I can kind of politically go on my own little bandit and then come to what Morehouse really is all about, we're our focus as an institution and has always been to be one that in many ways Du Bois talks about the talented 10th, right?
Yes.
And it's in so many ways that's what Morehouse tries to embody, right?
Right.
And so how do we send out guys and these leaders to kind of get into these, political places to be able to be the change agents that are necessary to speak for the Black community, right? And
Mhm.
so when you start looking at a Trump administration, what I get excited about is starting looking at, and what just supposes that. So when you start looking at Stephen Reed, who just became the first African American mayor of the city of Montgomery, Alabama, or when you look
Right.
at Randall Woodfin, who is also in the state of Alabama, serving as the mayor of Birmingham, Alabama, right? And these are young guys in these spaces where a very sort of what would be considered as a red state that one would argue doesn't comply to wanting to help people of Black and brown descent. So to have these guys in these roles speaks to the volume of what we can anticipate, what we can expect. I think with Obama's administration being on campus when Barack Obama was president, and to really see how the vibe was amongst all HBCUs, it was an amazing time, and I was in college during that time. And so now to see the opposite, where you have a president where the views are just so different, and you don't have a lot of positivity. It only makes the people at Morehouse and the people at Fisk University and the individuals at Tuskegee and the individuals at North Carolina Central want to step up and say, okay, let me get into my role. Let me
Mhm.
fill these seats that are necessary to one day maybe hold an office like Obama did, right? And so these are the kind of ways that there's a push. So yeah, we see the numbers. It's great. It's great, and we're
The
still
numbers have
pushing.
definitely gone up, man.
Oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But remember
And
too, we're dealing with a certain demographic, though.
yes.
Black males, we're single-handedly bringing in, you know, the lowest population of individuals that would ever go off into college, and to be able to say that we can graduate, 350 plus a year,
Wow.
or even almost to the record of 500 plus a year each year, where no other institution in the country can actually be able to say that. That's the paramount of Morehouse. That's the beauty of it, is that we have the ability to do that.
Agreed.
That's outstanding. I'm going to carry us out with Morehouse. I've got a feeling class of 2021. I just
Yes.
want them to see. I just want my subscribers to see Black excellence again. Dr. TJ Snowden and Mr. Michael Gum, thank y'all so much. And I'm for real. I will be pulling up and calling y'all real soon. I don't
Okay.
want y'all to think I'm playing because I'm
All
not.
right. I'm gonna call you bluff.
Were there any questions? Hey, Joyce, were there any questions from anyone?
That was one question from Random Crafting Gamer, and she was asking as far as like the test. She was asking, she said, would you ask which of the two, I think ACT or SAT, they feel is better, is the better choice if one is going to choose?
Yeah.
So, y'all want to answer that, or you want me to? Because that's real simple.
Yeah.
First and foremost, let me say this, Doc, and I'm gonna let you, because I know you're gonna
Go ahead.
philosophize. Hold on, let me just say this to Random. What I tell my students, especially in New York, we push and promote ACT. I've noticed in the Pennsylvania area, people are just pushing this SAT narrative. I think it's unfortunate, and it doesn't give our young people an opportunity to have options. When I was in the 7th grade, we took the SAT and we took the ACT. And then because the SAT and the ACT have such a wonderful analysis, you get an analysis back, like what are you strong in, what are you not so strong in. You will be able to determine, that young person will be able to determine like what they felt about each one of those tests. And I was able to, in the 7th grade, determine that I couldn't, the SAT wasn't for me, the ACT was for me. So have the young person, because some young people can actually do very well on the SAT. And some do well on the ACT. You have to take both of those tests and then see what it is and what the end results are, and then you want to push and promote them in that particular test, and then embellish on their strengths. Don't worry about their weaknesses. Embellish on their strengths, because there's a way to take those two tests. And I answered all questions. I was all wrong. Okay. So there's a way to take the test. You have to know how to take the test taking skills. And then you have to have some sleep at night, because it is a test that you're going to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. And at 8:01, those doors are closed. And guess what? You have just paid 40 some odd dollars. And if that young person doesn't get there on time, trust and believe they are not going to open the door, and they're not refunding you your 40 some odd dollars. So go ahead and train them to just go ahead and take the test. I still take the test once a year, just so that I know what is on the test. As an educator, it is incumbent upon us to keep up with what's going on. Okay, so that's my suggestion, and that's what I would suggest in reference to the SAT versus the ACT. Have them take both tests, and then you can see the analysis from there.
That's great.
Agree.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, so let me pull us over to the Morehouse I've Got a Feeling class of 2021. This is when I
had Mike sing your song, baby.
She didn't want me to watch it on here. She wanted me to watch before, because she know I get a little wussified and I will cry.
She's gonna cry, y'all.
When I see some black strength from males, yeah, it's coming. So let me.
It's so nice.
It is.
Isn't it?
Y'all over to this so y'all can see this. I haven't seen it happen before, y'all. So this is the first time for me and y'all, especially if some of y'all haven't seen it. All right, give me just a second. And just thank y'all so much for coming.
Thank you.